Hello, great. Thanks, everybody. We're going to go ahead and kick off tonight's session. So my name is Gary Russell. I've got my lovely wife, Anna Russell, on the call tonight as well, and we're going to be co-hosting. And we'd like to welcome all of you to tonight's call. We are recording it for playback in the future, and we're just really excited knowing the opportunity ahead of everybody on this call to transform your lives and the lives of others who are going to participate and start on this journey along with us that my wife and I have been on for quite some time. So tonight's call, basically, one of the ways we're going to approach it is it's kind of like I'm hearkening back to the days when I was an English teacher and my students used to read A Tale of Two Cities. And tonight we're going to share with you basically the story, A Tale of Two Isagenix product users. So I approached Isagenix from the perspective of basically an endurance athlete, someone who runs marathons and does quite a few distance races throughout the year. And my wife approached Isagenix, at least initially, looking to lose some weight. And she's going to share with you her story about her journey, and I'm going to share with all of you my journey. And and along the way, we're going to share with you what basically brought us to Isagenix. And we'll share with you the positive results we've seen in our lives, the transformation. And that's really what is exciting to us, because we know without a doubt, we're absolutely confident, because we've just seen this so many times, how people's lives have truly been transformed with this nutritional program. So just by way of background, for those of you that are completely new to Isagenix, the way I approach this is last fall, I was in the process of training for, at the time, my 12th marathon. And I basically had hit a wall in terms of weight loss. And when you think about it, if you're carrying an extra 10 pounds on your belly and you're running 26.2 miles, it really does have a significant impact on your performance, et cetera. So really, I hit this wall. I was struggling to lose weight, even though my weekly mileage was going up. I was at that point running 40 to 50 miles a week, approaching my peak training for my marathon last October. But I was just having a hard time losing the weight. Some of the concerns I had, though, I wanted to lose weight to improve my racing performance, but I also wanted to increase my overall energy, and I wanted to increase my pace. I needed to make sure that I didn't sacrifice lean muscle at the expense of weight, which was critical. And running those type of distances each week, it was just essential that I could maintain my energy, I could maintain that lean muscle, that I could keep up my training requirements. Because it was my 12th marathon, for better or worse, I felt like I knew what I was doing in terms of diet and nutrition. And quite frankly, when I look back on it now, I realize how much I didn't know. And so, but I knew I needed to make a change because, as I mentioned, I was just struggling to lose this excess weight. And what happened, and as I mentioned, my wife's going to share her journey, but I had seen the results that my wife had with Isagenix every day, and she had been on Isagenix as a product user for many months prior to this, and I was quite skeptical, though. I had my doubts for many different reasons, and I questioned, what is this really quality food? Is it food? These type of things. Is it going to meet my needs for training? I thought, yeah, it's great that I see these protein shakes, et cetera, but I wasn't sure how it would fit in with my lifestyle and my schedule and so forth. But there was one undeniable aspect to this, and I could see the results. I could see the results that my wife had experienced. I could see the results that our neighbors and our friends had experienced using Isagenix and the nutritional program. And it was undeniable. And I reached a point, I said, I can't continue being stubborn. I can't continue fighting this. I need to try something different. So I'm going to go for it. So I kind of fell into this, if you will, as a skeptical product user. Even though I had seen the results, call it stubbornness, et cetera, I just wasn't sure how it would work. And what happened is I experienced tremendous results. The weight came off. I very quickly was able to shed that excess that excess fat. I was able to maintain lean muscle. I had more energy during training. I was able to actually continue increasing my weekly mileage, just peaking around 60 to 70 miles a week. And along the way, ever since then, a couple significant things stand out. I've been able to sustain the weight loss. I've been able to keep the weight off. I was able to get a personal best on the marathon that I ran last October after I started using the product. I got a personal best on a 5K that I ran and actually placed in the top 4 for my age group. And I got a personal best a couple weeks ago when I ran the Tar Heel 10-miler race here in Chapel Hill. And so I've been able to I've experienced the results. I've also noticed my recovery times are much better. So, for example, a couple weeks ago, I'm preparing for my next marathon right now, which is this coming Sunday. And 2 weeks ago, I ran 22 miles on Sunday. And then the very next day, I was able to go back out and run another 8 miles. I wasn't hobbling around like I used to in the old days. So that's really just a quick intro in terms of my story. Before this, if I go back a little further, back in June of 2005, at the time I was 36 years old. Like many people, I'd been focusing on my career for a long time and family, and I really had not been paying attention to exercise or diet. Or nutrition, I should say. And at that point, I reached a point with high blood pressure and stress from work, et cetera. I actually thought at one point I was having a heart attack and ended up going to the emergency room. And I'll never forget this because at the time my son was just a couple years old, and I remember him coming into the ER, and I was hooked up to all these machines, which I'd never had done before in my life. And I was scared to death. He was scared. Anna was scared. And I remember thinking, I've got to make a change in my life. I can't continue like this. And that's when I started the journey back to fitness. I'd always been a runner in college and through Army ROTC, et cetera. But really, I started back in June of 2005, and I ran my first half marathon in 2010. That was the City of Oaks half marathon. And then the following spring, I ran my first full marathon. And ever since then, it's been a fun journey. And as I mentioned, I'm signed up for my 13th full marathon here next week. And I'm expecting to have a great race, quite frankly, because I've continued using these products. Like I said, I started last fall. I kind of dipped my toes in the water as a skeptical product user. But as I saw the results personally, I've continued to use them, and I'm expecting to see the results continue. So that's really just at a high level my background. I do want to very quickly highlight what it is that we're talking about here. So when we talk about Isagenix, this is an entire nutritional system. There's several components to it. There's a weight loss component. There's an energy and performance component. There's healthy aging, and there's wealth creation. And in tonight's call, Anna's going to focus on the weight loss aspect, and I'm focusing on the energy and performance aspect of this. So as I mentioned, Isagenix, it's a proven nutritional system. This is not a fad. This product has been around for over 12 years. We've seen the results firsthand. I see the testimonials on a daily basis. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. So those of us on our team, we're on multiple Facebook sites. I see the testimonials every day where people's lives are transformed, where they're losing weight, where they have more energy, where they're able to really live life to the fullest. And I know it might sound like I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I just see this every single day. I can't emphasize that enough. As a nutritional system, there are several key products that we just want to highlight. So the first product is the IsaLean shakes, and that's a key component of this system. So basically, most people, when they start using Isagenix as a product, they typically will have 2 meal replacement shakes a day. And these shakes are high quality, they're nutrient dense, and they will replace the entire meal for you. At no point have I ever felt like I'm missing out. Typically for me, for example, I'll have a shake in the morning and I'll drink that on the way into work, and then I'll have a shake for lunch. I mean, I can eat a regular meal at the end of the day with my family. And then as I'm training, I will also supplement this as well. In some cases, I personally will use the shakes as a supplement in addition to other meals because, when you're running 22 miles, you're burning over 3,000 calories just in that one event. So I'll typically, when I get to that point in my training, I'm eating 2 or 3 meals a day and then also including the shakes in my program. But at no point do I feel like I'm missing out. At no point do I feel like it's a restrictive diet. This is not a diet. There's a reason that diet has the word die in it, because you feel like you're going to die usually, and it's so restrictive. I've tried other diets in the past. I've tried Atkins. I've tried other things, and I remember thinking, quite frankly, if I have to live like this way, I can't go on. And it wasn't sustainable. This wasn't something I could do as a way of life when I was on those diets. Isagenix is not a diet. It's a nutritional program, and you can customize it. You can tailor it to meet your needs. You really can. So I don't want to sound too prescriptive. I don't want to sound like there's only one way to do this. Anna and I joke about this quite a bit with folks that we've seen when they first get started sometimes, where they're asking a lot of questions along the lines of, can I eat this or can I drink that, and et cetera, when they first get on the program. And I think it's because they're approaching it with the mindset of it's a diet, and they think they have to restrict what they can do. This is not a diet. So the main component of Isagenix, it is the Isoline shakes. As an athlete, I actually use the Isoline Pro shake, and the difference between the two is the Pro shakes have an additional 12 grams of protein in them. So the Pro shake has 36 grams of protein, whereas the Isoline shake has 24 grams. But that's the key central component to Isagenix that almost every pack, every program will incorporate in one form or another. Another key component is the Ionic Supreme. So this is basically, the way I use this is as a powder that I mix with a glass of water in the mornings. It's a very dense, high-quality drink, essentially, that includes, for example, a lot of the B vitamins, a lot of additional nutrients that have a positive effect, for example, on recovery, on healing, et cetera. And so most folks that are using Isagenix will include not only the shakes, but they also will, on pretty much a daily basis, have a glass of the Ionics. So one of the things that's implied here, for example, as a product user, on a daily basis, for example, when I wake up now, instead of getting a cup of coffee as I used to in the past, I'll have a shake that I drink on the way to work, and then usually once I get there, I have a glass of Ionics. The third key critical component is the Cleanse for Life. And so everybody that's on our team with Isagenix, we all joke about this. We talk about cleanse days. And once you've done a cleanse day, we'll welcome you to the club, because it's almost like a rite of passage. So when we talk about Cleanse for Life and cleansing, we're not talking about a colon cleanse. What we're talking about basically is a cleanse at the cellular level. And there's a lot of research behind this. There's a lot of materials. And as you begin your Isagenix journey, we could talk at more and more at great length about, for example, acidity and how our food supply is nutrient depleted but toxic. And so one of the key dimensions of this, when you have a cleanse day or you drink the Cleanse for Life, the idea is that you are cleansing and ridding your body of these toxins. And one of the knockoff effects of the toxins is if you don't cleanse them, as in a traditional diet, basically that's part of what contributes to the yo-yo effect, whereas some of you may have experienced, or you may have seen your friends experience this. They go on a diet, and then after the diet, the weight comes back on, and they lose whatever gains they've made, and they actually typically put on even more weight. So the Cleanse for Life, basically, there's different ways you can get the cleanse. There's many ways you can actually consume Cleanse for Life. You can have a single cleanse drink every day. Most people have what we call cleanse days, where essentially during that day, you don't have a shake, you don't eat a regular meal, but what you do is you have several cleanse drinks throughout the day. So some folks will do a one-day cleanse. That's what we're talking about here. In other cases, people will do, they call it a 2-day cleanse, which is more of a deep cleanse. You can customize this. This is the beauty of Isagenix. you can customize Isagenix to meet your needs. So, for example, when I'm training for a marathon, I will use a cleanse day as a tune-up day to very quickly, number one, as I said, rid my body of the toxins, and also number two, to lose some excess body fat. And I've had tremendous results with that. For me, a 2-day cleanse doesn't really work because at this point in my training program, I can't take off 2 days in a row. So, and the idea is you don't want to exercise, you don't want to run 8 or 10 miles on a cleanse day, right? You want to focus on the cleansing process. So typically for me, what I do is I'll have a single cleanse day on one of my rest days from training. And typically I've seen fantastic results, anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds lost over the course of cleansing. So those are the three main components. Once again, you've got the protein shakes that are a complete meal replacement. Then you have the ionics, and then, of course, the other component is cleanse. So when we talk about this, as I said, this isn't a diet. It is a proven system. It's very customizable. You can tweak it and tune it based on your needs. It's affordable. I could go right down the list, what things that work for me. It's sustainable, right? The products taste good. It's not. I don't feel like I'm struggling to have a shake, for example. I don't feel like I'm missing out. Beyond that, and beyond it being a nutrient-dense quality fuel for my body as I'm training, quite frankly, it's convenient. Sometimes it's just convenient to go ahead and have a shake instead of having to cook a big meal, for example. And when I have the shake as a meal, I know I am consuming a top quality product. So those are the key things we're talking about. We've talked about cleansing. We've mentioned briefly toxicity. We've talked about the need, for example, where our food supply is nutrient deficient and where we do have toxins in our environment. Now, I know some folks will try to address this, for example, by purchasing and consuming organic products, and I get that. But even those will still have some levels of toxicity according to government standards. So just to recap, a typical day in the life for me on Isagenix, I'll have a shake in the morning. I'll have a shake for lunch. I also have a glass of ionics, and then usually I'll have a cleanse day. Monday is usually my cleanse day. I'll have a cleanse day on Monday when I'm resting and recovering from training the weekend before, and then I'm ready to go. There's a whole slew of other products that those of us have been consuming Isagenix for a while could speak to. For example, there's an e-shot. So many of us on the team will joke about our e-shots because it's an energy boost. It's a great product. It's fantastic. I know most people that are training and working out, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll actually have an e-shot before the workout starts, which is part of my regular routine as well. And then there's also some other additional products. For example, there's Replenish, which is really designed to replace electrolytes and so forth at the end of a workout as well. So as I mentioned, we've just seen tremendous results. I know folks can be skeptical going into this. I, for one, was skeptical, but as I said, the results truly speak for themselves, and it's just a tremendous nutritional system. I can't emphasize that enough. The quality is there. The research is there to back it up. And, one other thing I'll mention before I hand off to Anna, we also sometimes we'll talk about, for example, when folks first start looking into Isagenix and they start questioning everything, which is good. It is good to question any nutritional program, and they'll start asking questions such as, is this food, for example? And we get a kick out of it because what we're thinking in the back of our minds is how many times have folks gone through the drive-through at McDonald's or Burger King and really questioned what is it that they're consuming when they go through that drive-through? What really is in a Big Mac? What really is in that Diet Coke that people are drinking? And is that good for them? So the skepticism is good, but sometimes also it's important to be open-minded. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention, of course, is with Isagenix, just some other key point, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. You really have nothing to lose by trying the product. If you look at the friends and people that you know who have been using it, you will see firsthand the success that they've had. So you've got the 30-day guarantee where you can give this a shot and really just go for it and make it happen. And usually, I can say honestly, without a doubt, every one of our friends that we've talked to, after they have enrolled, they have come back to us so happy with the results they've gotten. And usually there was a study that was done. Usually folks lose on average 7 to 8 pounds their first 9 days on Isagenix. And the beauty of it is, though, it's not just a one-time deal and then the weight comes back on. We've seen folks who've sustained this for the long term. As I mentioned, I've been using the Isagenix products and consuming them since last fall, the August-September timeframe, and Anna has been using them much longer. So that's my story. It will work for athletes. I know a lot of folks who are bodybuilders who are looking to build muscle mass. It will work for them. If you're an endurance athlete, it will work for you, and you can tune it based on your training needs, so it will work. So with that, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to hand over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Gary. You did a wonderful job. What is just so funny to me is you were my biggest skeptic, actually. When I first started this over 15 months ago now, my good friend and neighbor, Elizabeth Laconi, introduced it to me. And when I told you about it, Gary, you were one of my biggest Isagenix haters. You were against it from the beginning. And then as you saw me in my journey and you saw the pounds come off me and you saw how easy it was, I noticed that some of my shakes began to disappear. And one day I said to you, Gary, have you been drinking my shakes? Well, I thought maybe I would try a shake after a run because I really needed a boost and I needed a little something after a run. And so it wasn't long before then, of course, we signed you up. And now you're on this wonderful journey with us that we are so excited about. So let me briefly tell you my story. Like I said, my neighbor, my friend, signed me up about 15 months ago now. And originally, I, like many other people out there, just needed to lose about 10 pounds. My daughter was turning 7, and I realized I still had about 10 pounds of baby weight left on me. So I thought, it's just not shifting anymore with the exercising, the eating clean. I really needed something else. I didn't know what. I always considered myself a clean eater. So after watching half of my neighborhood, half of my street, I said, I'll just give it a try. I really didn't expect big results, but here I am 15 months down the line, about 22 pounds that I've now kept off over the time, 22, 20, maybe 19 some weeks. It kind of goes up and down, and that's the great thing about Isagenix. It's not a diet. You can still go out. You can still enjoy yourself with friends. You can still have a few drinks, have some birthday cake when big occasions are around. So you're not restricted from anything. So it was quite easy for me to stick with the shakes. I've always been a clean eater. I was actually born in Europe, in England, and over there our food is very different. We approach our meals very differently than over here in the United States. Our food source is a lot stricter. The diet that British people put in their bodies is definitely different than here in America. I think we tend to live at a slightly slower pace. So we're not on the go and we're not looking for fast food. I actually did not have any fast food until I was 20 years old, and that was because I moved to America, and everyone's talking about fast food, and I had my first McDonald's at the age of 20. So I was not used to eating fast food and junk food. So I was used to preparing food. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She would go to the butcher's every day, and she would get her cut of meat, and her fresh vegetables, and she would cook a home-cooked meal every night for us. Then the next day she'd go to the fishmonger and get a piece of fish and cook every day. We did not have a freezer. As a child growing up, I had a little tiny fridge in my kitchen, and it had a little tiny ice box. And we used to keep maybe a couple of ice trays in there. So there was no frozen food. There was no McDonald's. There was no fast food. Any restaurants were very expensive, and I had never eaten out at a restaurant before until I was 20 and I came over to America. So my point is, once I started Isagenix, I was excited to go back to my roots. I was excited to go back to eating clean, eating organic food, eating things that I was raised on, that I was used to eating. I didn't feel like I needed to eat processed, boxed, frozen foods anymore, which unfortunately I had become accustomed to. And when I gave birth to my children and had my children, it was very foreign to me to feed them the food that American children were eating here in America. So my children were quite isolated, I felt. They didn't go to McDonald's. They didn't eat Happy Meals. I didn't take them out for ice cream as a special treat. I didn't feed them mac and cheese and hot dogs, and which sounds wonderful now. Now we're all back to eating clean again, but it was very hard because at a birthday party, what's served? Pizza. My children weren't raised on eating pizza, so they wouldn't eat pizza. So my point is, I guess, now I'm eating cleaner and I am back on the shakes and I am on Isagenix. I feel like I'm back to feeding my family the way I am used to eating and the way I was raised to be eating. I think that's why I've kept the weight off. My body has gotten back to enjoying eating high quality organic food again without eating the processed food, and it's just very simple and easy to me. Now, that's not to say that we don't occasionally go out and still eat any type of food we want. Remember, this is just not a diet. My uncle, he married a lady from Japan, so I also have Japanese family members in my family. So I was also, as a child, used to eating a lot of Japanese food, which is also not processed. And so I've found the love of Japanese food through this, which is very clean and is very good for you also. Ever really want a really good, healthy meal, look up some Japanese restaurants as well. So going back to the shakes, I find that if I do not have time to prepare a healthy breakfast, I just have the shake for breakfast, and it fills me. It's satisfying. I don't have to worry about measuring anything. I don't have to add any milk, so I can just add the water and the ice and go. If you're working in an office, there's no excuse. It's easy and convenient. You just mix up our protein shake with water in a blender or even just a shaker bottle that we provide, and it creates an amazing meal that will keep you satisfied for the rest of the day. So that's basically my journey. That's my story. If you have any interest or you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Is there anything else you'd like to ask, Gary?
Yeah, no, I think it's great, Anna. It's well said and spoken from the heart, right? And so, I mean, at this point, we just really want to wrap up with everybody. And once again, thank everybody for joining tonight. If you do have any questions, please contact the person who provided you the details to join tonight, because we're confident they can answer those questions for you. The other thing is, though, we just want to wrap up and say we truly are so excited because we know what's ahead of those of you that are really thinking of getting on board and starting your own personal journey. We all come from different places. I came from a different place into Isagenix than my wife did. But we both have experienced tremendous results. Our neighbors have experienced this. We see it every day. We are absolutely 110% confident that if you're on the fence and you're having any doubts, if you get on board, you too will be successful. So thanks again. We hope all of you have a great night and wish you the best of luck with your journey. Thank you.